Okay,
I
sir.
think we should start now.
Okay. So good evening, all from India. As we know, we are organizing the second webinar series on cellular automata. Today is the third talk of the series, and the speaker is a very young and prolific researcher, Dr. Kamalika Bhattacharjee. Dr. Bhattacharjee is an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, the National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli. She received her BTech in Information Technology from Government College of Engineering and Textile Technologies, Rampur, in 2011, and Master of Engineering Information Technology from India Institute of Engineering Science and Technology, IST Shibpur, uh, in year 2013. She was the college topper in her BTech and gold medalist in her ME. She completed her PhD from her alma mater IST Shibpur in 2019 as a recipient of Inspire Fellowship from the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. Her research interests include cellular automata, randomness, logic, and algorithmic complexity. Today, Dr. Bhattacharjee will be presenting on reversibility and semi-reversibility relating infinite and finite cases of cellular automata. Over to you, Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Thank you, Shubhamadi. I hope I am audible and my screen is
Yes.
visible.
Yes.
Okay, so I like being the host. I don't like this reversal of role, obviously. So, but the circumstances is such that I have to talk today more than I used to talk in all the sessions. So, if I bore you, please stop me. Otherwise, thank you for the opportunity. So my topic is reversibility and semi-reversibility relating infinite and finite cases of cellular automata. This is part of my PhD dissertation done at IST Shibpur as Inspire Fellow under the ample guidance of Professor Sukanta Das. And I want to thank Professor Sukanta Das and Professor Mihir Chakraborty, my two mentors I am grateful and blessed to have for the support and motivation. So let us start into the topic. All of us know what is a cellular automata, so I will not discuss more on this. Cellular automata is a discrete dynamical system with a regular network of cells where each cell changes its state following a rule depending on the states of its neighbors. Formally, we can define it as a tuple L, S, M, and R, where L is the lattice, S is the set of states, M is the neighborhood vector, and R is the local rule. Apart from these four tuples, we have another set of important terms which are related to CA. For example, one is configuration of a CA, which is just a mapping from L to S, and that specifies the state of all sets at a given time t. And the global transition function, which actually gives us the behavior of the CA over any property. So this G global transition function is a mapping from set of all configurations to itself. Classically, our cellular automata is defined over infinite lattice, so L is infinite. And most of the properties that we call as the global properties of CA, those are also defined over infinite lattice, but those are not valid for finite cases. Let us take an example. For example, if we take chaos, which is defined over infinite lattice, is not valid for finite case. There are several definitions of CA. I am giving just an example of a popular definition due to definite chaotic system, where it says that it is chaotic if and only if it is transitive, has 10 periodic points, and sensitive to initial conditions. Now, if we just apply this definition over a finite CA having a lattice size as finite, this definition will say that that CA is not a chaotic CA, even if the local rule is same. So chaos is the property of chaos will not be valid when it is defined over finite lattice. Same thing happens almost nearly for reversibility. Reversibility is defined over infinite configurations. So where it means every configuration has exactly one predecessor and the global transition function is going to be bijective. But if we take finite CA where the lattice size is finite, in that case, reversibility depends not only on the local rule, it also depends on the lattice size. And a CA which has a given rule, depending on the size of n, the lattice size, it can be reversible or irreversible if we change the value of n. So it can be reversible for a set of lattice sizes, but may not be all lattice sizes. So that means this notion of reversibility for infinite configuration and finite CAs, those are not actually convergent. They seem to be divergent. Now the question of today's talk, the target of today's talk is whether we can establish any relation between the behavior of CA with same rule over these cases. Now let us discuss about what is reversibility and all. Reversibility, this term is mostly from physics, where it means there is no loss of information during evolution. So it means also entropy is going to be constant, and if there is no loss of information, the system is time reversible. That is, it can run backward in direction and it can return to the initial condition without losing any of its properties. Now, if we just map the reversible system as a function in mathematics, it is going to be bijective. That is, it is one-to-one and on-to-both. There are several examples in nature which are reversible in principle, just like we can take planetary motion in orbits, movement of electron around nucleus. So these are some of the examples of microscopic and macroscopic systems which can be modeled as reversible systems. Implication in CA, what we can do about reversibility in CA? If we model reversible system in CA, we are going to get a system where there is no loss of information during the evolution of the CA, and this can have a direct correspondence with this reversibility of microscopic system, which are governed by the laws of quantum mechanics. Now, what is reversibility in cellular automata? In case of cellular automata, if it is reversible, it can be reversible if and only if every configuration has exactly one predecessor and the global transition function is bijective. I have already told this, I guess. So the important part is, if a CA is reversible, there exists an inverse CA. So inverse function exists and it is also a CA. That we can get as a corollary of Hedlund's theorem. So if we just take the transition as x to gx and g square x and so on, there will be exactly another CA which will traverse in the backward direction. That is, from say g inverse of this g square x, it will move to g inverse of gx. If we apply this g inverse, then in the reverse direction we can come back to C, come back to this x. And in case of CA, injectivity implies bijectivity, implies reversibility in both directions. So all these terms are equivalent. Although by definition, bijectivity means injectivity as well as surjectivity, but for the case of CA, if a CA is injective, it is also bijective and vice versa. So this definition I have talked about. This is for general classical CA. So it is defined over infinite lattice, where the reversibility depends on the rule only, because in the definition we are giving only the rule in the tuple, not as it is infinite lattice, there is no question of giving any n. And injectivity implies bijectivity, but surjectivity doesn't imply bijectivity. However, if we take finite CA, in that case reversibility depends on lattice size, because finite means we have to give the lattice size, and it can be reversible for a set of lattice sizes. And the another point where it is clearly differing is surjectivity implies bijectivity. I will talk about why it is so, maybe in some later slides. So these two classes, infinite and finite cases of reversibility, are different. You can feel like there is a wall between this finite and infinite cases, and the question is how we can relate them. So the target of the talk is, first, Can we deduce reversibility of infinite CA from that of finite CA? How can we relate reversibility of infinite and finite CA? We need to introduce a new notion of reversibility and classify reversibility in CA. Now let us discuss the problem of reversibility. I told that there are infinite cases and finite cases. In case of infinite CA, the classical definition of reversibility problem is whether the global transition function G is injective on the set of all infinite configurations. We call this as case 1. Now for infinite CA, there are other two types of problems of reversibility as well. What are they? First one is when the global transition function is defined over periodic infinite configuration. In that case, we mention the global transition function as GP, P to imply this periodic infinite configuration, and it is case 2. Sorry. Third is where the global transition function is defined over set of all finite configurations of length n for all n. That we call as case 3. Now these are the cases for infinite CA. The next case is obviously for finite CA, where we can get the global transition function as Gn, which is injective on the set of all finite configurations of a particular length n for that fixed n. So this is different than the infinite cases, and we call this as case 4. Now, if we have to solve this problem of reversibility, we need some algorithm. Now that algorithm obviously has to be based on local rule, because by definition we are going to have the tuple. Inside the tuple we have only local rule. Although this problem of reversibility is based on the global transition function, so there will be some algorithm to measure how the global transition function is going to behave based on the local rule. And in classical algorithms, which we are going to discuss to some extent, there are two types of tests, not only injectivity test but surjectivity test also. So from now on, we are considering only reversibility for one-dimensional cases, because for higher dimension, it is already proved by Professor Charkotari that for higher dimensional, it is undecidable. Reversibility in general is undecidable. Now the algorithm that exists for reversibility of 1D CA, there are mainly two classical algorithms, although there have been later years there have been some variations of that also, but two classical algorithms exist for reversibility of one-dimensional CA for infinite cases. First one is Emerson-Katz, where they used combinatorial method, and second one is by Shatner, where he used Lagrangian-Brown. Now all these algorithms are defined over case 1, that is for infinite configuration. Now, let me give a brief idea about what is the problem of reversibility. First, the problem of surjectivity. Here what we do is we test whether the global transition function is surjective or not. To test surjectivity, what we need to find is to find a Gardner Eden configuration, that is a configuration that doesn't have a pre-image. Then if such a configuration exists, we can say that the CA cannot be surjective. But this Gardner Eden configuration, that is an infinite configuration. What we do is we search for orphans. Orphan is a finite pattern that cannot appear as image of any configuration. So it is, you can think like Garden of Eden configuration is the whole configuration, where it can be infinite configuration, whereas orphan is just a small part which is a finite pattern and it can't have any pre-image. Another property important for finding surjectivity is balance property, where all symbols have equal share. If it is not balanced, it cannot be surjective. It is very easy to understand why it is so. So we get the relation that if their surjectivity, no orphans, balance property on orphans, those are equivalent, and injectivity, bijectivity and reversibility are equivalent. Now, how we can find the balance property, whether how can check whether the balance property is satisfied or not? We can simply scan the rule table and find that. For example, if we have this CA, it is a three neighborhood, three state CA. We can see that the symbol 2 is not available here. So if we take a configuration like this, all 2s, that doesn't have any pre-image. So it is a Garden of Eden configuration. Balance property is violated. So the CA is not surjective. However, even if the CA satisfies balance property, that doesn't mean that it is going to be surjective. For example, if we take this CA, it is a three neighborhood, two state CA. The rule is balance, so balance property is satisfied. However, it is not surjective. For example, if we find predecessor of configurations like this, we can see that this configuration doesn't have any predecessor. So this is not a surjective configuration. So now there are infinitely many configurations if we think about infinite lattice size. So it is exhaustively testing in this way, it's not possible. Therefore, what in all classical algorithms they did is they tried to identify this non-reachable configuration using some tactics. For example, in case of Emerson pair, they developed this tree-like structure. What is this? The root or the starting node contains all these tuples which are having same pre-image. So if we start from here, we keep on building the nodes depending on what we can get out of these tuples, and if we reach somewhere from where we can't get anything or an empty, then we say that the existence of such kind of node indicates that it is not surjective. So here they mention that node is called terminal node, and if from one node it is getting duplicated, that node they mentioned it as frontier node. So this CA is not surjective according to Amos-Pat's algorithm. And we can get an orphan from this if we just traverse the length of the tree up to the terminal node, we can get the orphan. Now there are this is another example where it is showing this ECA 30 as surjective because here there are no terminal nodes, so it is a surjective. Now, what is the problem of injectivity? In case of injectivity, we search for many-to-one mapping in the CA. That is a configuration which has more than one predecessor. If there is no such configuration, the CA is reversible. Again, we can take the example. If we search for the predecessor of these two configurations, we can see that these two configurations have predecessor. In fact, this CA is surjective. All the configuration has predecessor. But if we find the next configuration of them, if we check it out, we can see that for both of them, the next configuration is same. That is, the many-to-one mapping exists. But again, the same problem is there. It is not possible to exhaustively check each of the infinite configuration. So in any of in the Amos-Pat's algorithm, as well as if we look into the Sutner's algorithm, what they did is they tried to identify how the possibility of getting a many-to-one mapping. So they will start with the all possible cases of many-to-one mapping, and then if it is getting into a many-to-one mapping, then they will declare it as irreversible. If there is no many-to-one mapping, they will say that it is reversible. For example, if we take this rule 30 again, here in Amos-Pat, they develop this sequence table and they fill it up. Now this sequence table means this 0 and say 0 and 7. Here 0 and 7, they have same nested value. So there might be a chance of getting same what should I say, same next configuration from different configuration. So that's why they are putting this in the same, they are putting the next position in the same block. Now, if in that algorithm, if we get a sequence set as itself, so if from 0 and 7 we are getting 0 and 7, that means there is a many to one mapping. It is actually obvious from this rule itself. If here for 0 0 0 there is 0, 1 1 1 there is 0, that means if we take all 0 and all 1 as the configuration, the next configuration is going to be all 0 1. So many to one mapping exists. Now, as I was mentioning, that in every case they were actually considering only finite amount of spaces or finite amount of positions, and within that position they are identifying whether many to one mapping exists or not. For example, this is a lemma I have copied from Amorso Pat's paper. Here what I want to show you that there is a limit, this p greater than I plus k, k to the power m minus 1 c2. This is the limit they have mentioned. Within that limit, they are going to check whether the many to one mapping is existing or not. So we don't need to look through all infinite configuration. Actually, we are looking for some small part of the infinite configuration, and that is implying that actually we are checking for all possibilities. So this is Amorso Pat's injectivity test. Now, reversibility of 1D CA, I told that there are 3 cases for infinite CAs, and this algorithm as well as Sapner's algorithm, although they were developed for case 1, but they are applicable to cases 2 and 3 also, that is for periodic configurations as well as finite configurations. So we get a mapping like this, where you can get this figure from Professor Kari's survey paper also. So it is the existing relation between the injectivity and surjectivity properties of 1D CA, where all these are only infinite cases. But case 4 is not there. So case 4 is different from this, and we need algorithm to define or find how we can measure the reversibility for case 4 CA. Our work actually starts here. We have worked only with case 4 CA and then tried to establish the relation of case 4 along with the other cases. So this is, let us start with reversibility of finite CA. De Bruijn graph, that is a popular representation of any overlapping sequence as well, which can be like, it can be a shift register, it can be a counter, as well as it can be a cellular automata. So we are going to consider the de Bruijn graph representation for CA only. In case of CA, the label de Bruijn graph will contain, will be defined over S, where S is m minus 1, m is the number of neighbors of the CA, and each edge will be labeled by the rule. So for example, if we take this CA, the de Bruijn graph is going to look like this, where each of these edges represent the overlapping sequence between these nodes. So this, just like here, this levels are mentioned within bracket, but by default it is not required. It is implicit that if there is an edge between 0 0 and 0 1 that is labeled with 0 0 1, and this 1 comes from the rule value, that is for 0 0 1 the next value is 1, so we are getting here 1. In this way we can form the graph. Now if we want to test reversibility of a finite CA for a fixed n, what we have to do is we have to look for many to one mapping within the CA. So if no many to one mapping exists, it is reversible. Now this Dibrugen graph represents the infinite CA. So what you have to do is you have to traverse through the graph again and again for each of the configuration of a fixed length n, and then you have to check whether there exists any many-to-one mapping or not. But as you can understand, this is obviously not a good idea. So can you devise a better solution? As a better solution, we go for the reachability tree. Now, before going into the reachability tree, let me use or tell you the definitions of some of the terms I'm going to use. First one is RMT, where RMT is nothing but the arguments to the rule. So this is the combination of argument to the rule, and this argument we are calling as RMT, represented by the decimal equivalent. So for say ECA 51, the RMTs are 0, 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1, that is 0 to 7. Now RMTs are classified into two groups. One is equivalent RMT set, another is sibling RMT set. Equivalent RMTs are, you can think of like the incoming edges of each of the nodes of a Dibrugen graph, and sibling RMTs are the outgoing edges from each of the nodes of the Dibrugen graph. For example, 0, 4, 1, 5, 2, 6, 3, 7, these are equivalent RMTs. And we group the equivalent RMT sets in equi-I and sibling RMT sets into SIVLI. We are considering periodic boundary. So an RMT sequence, that is another way of representing configuration, that is a sequence of RMTs corresponding to each of the configuration. We can find out from the given configuration. Periodic boundary means the boundary cells are glued together. So here, if we have this configuration, what you can get is, it is 0, 1, 1, that is 3, then 7, then 6, and 5. So that is the RMT sequence. Similarly, we have reachable and non-reachable configuration, that is nothing but non-reachable configuration is just like Garden of Eden configuration, but here the size of the configuration is going to be finite, that is for a fixed n. So unreachable configuration means a configuration that has a predecessor. And reversible CA means all configurations are reachable for that particular n cell CA. So here we are defining reversibility for a particular cell size n. So a finite CA of size n will be reversible if for each of the configuration we are getting exactly one predecessor. For example, if we take this transition diagram, here each of the configurations are reachable, and so the CA is reversible, whereas this is irreversible. Now let us come to the reachability tree. Reachability tree depicts the RMT sequence along with the configuration pair. So for, as I told, RMT sequence is another representation of a configuration. So from each configuration we can get an RMT sequence, and from each RMT sequence we can get a configuration. Now if we map the RMT sequence with the next configuration, that will give you one edge, one sequence of edge from the root to the leaf of a reachability tree. Or in other words, each of the in the reachability tree there will be a root, and if we draw the tree from the root to the leaf, the length of the or the sequence of edges, that will give you an RMT sequence, and the next configuration will be the level of that edge. So it can characterize any distant M neighborhood C. Its root contains, node is at level 0, leaves are at level n. Root contains all sibling RMT set, and for each of the levels we can calculate the next RMTs depending on the previous on the root or the parent node. Now for reachability tree there are some special levels. These special levels are, if it is say n neighborhood CA, then there are say 1 to n minus 1. Those are the last 1 to n minus 1 levels, those are special levels which are necessary to maintain the periodic boundary condition. So for that special levels, only specific RMTs can be present, which we can get out of this relation. Non-reachable node means a node which is not having any RMTs inside it, and corresponding edge will be non-reachable edge. Now let us see the construction. Here the root contains all the sibling RMTs. Now we divide it into D number of edges. Here D is 3, as we are considering 3 neighborhood, 3 state CA. So now from each of this set we have to find the RMTs which corresponds to nexted value as 0, nexted value as 1 and 2 in this way. So here we can get 0, 5, 7, 9. These are the RMTs which has nexted value as 0. These RMTs have nexted value 1 and these have nexted value as 2. So we can derive the next set of child nodes. Those are from 0 we can get the set as 0, 1, 2. From 5 we can get 15, 16, 17. From 9 we can get 21. Say from 9 we can get 0, 1, 2, because this is 9 and 0, they are equivalent in case of 3 state CA. From 7 we are going to get 21, 22, 23. In this way we can form the tree. So it will continue up to n levels. For example, if we take this rule, the structure is going to be something like this. Here you can see that for some at the leaf level there are some edges which are not having any nodes. Those nodes are non-reachable nodes, and this edge, for example, this is a non-reachable edge, and any sequence corresponds to one particular configuration. So if we take this sequence, say E00, E10, E20 and E31, then that means we are getting the configuration as 0001, and the predecessor of this configuration will be, as it is, we can find the predecessor from the RMT sequence, but as it is a non-reachable edge sequence, there is no predecessor for this particular configuration. So you may have observed that there is similarity between this reachability tree construction as well as the Amour-Sibert surjectivity test tree, because in both the cases we are actually finding the non-reachable configuration. If there is no non-reachable configuration, we declare the CA as reversible, otherwise it is going to be irreversible. Now this non-reachable configuration, I already said, it is just like Kardanov-Eden configuration, and it also indicates that there exists many-to-one mapping. But for our case, reachability tree is defined for finite CA, that is, the configuration space is finite. In case of finite CA, non-existence of non-reachable configuration means surjectivity. This also means that every configuration has a pre-image, so no many-to-one mapping in the finite configurations. That's why I told that surjectivity implies bijectivity in case of finite CA. So if all configurations are reachable, in that case the CA is obviously reversible CA, and for that the corresponding tree is going to be a complete tree. So now we are going to get some theorems out of this reachability tree. The first theorem is, just like I told, the reachability tree of a finite reversible CA of length n is complete. Now in the previous example that tree was not complete, so it is irreversible. Now our target is to make the tree as complete. To make it complete, there we can develop further theorems, just like this is another theorem which will give you the number of RMTs that we need to have for each of the nodes such that the tree is complete. So in case of D equal to 3, M equals to 3, that is 3-state, 3 neighborhood CA, we have to have 9 RMTs for each of the edges up to level n-3, 3 RMTs for edges of level n-2, and 1 RMTs for edges of level n minus 1. So n minus 1 and n minus 2, these are the spatial levels only. So from the theorem, we can also derive the corollary for the nodes where the number of RMTs for each of the nodes is going to be fixed. Now, another theorem that we can get is the nodes of reachability tree of a reversible CA has to be balanced. If this is not balanced, then again we can get a non-reachable node. For example, again, if we take the previous CA, the root node is balanced, the CA is balanced, but all nodes are not balanced. So the CA is irreversible for n equals to 4. Whereas for ECA 51, the rule is balanced. If we draw the tree, that each of the nodes is going to be balanced, and the CA satisfy all reversibility conditions. So it is reversible for n equals to 4. Therefore, we can get idea about what will be the behavior of the CA from the reachability tree for any particular n. Now, if we have a large n, it is a finite CA, n is finite, but n can be any number. So if we have a large n, then the tree is growing exponentially. So how we can deal with it? So the problem is the tree grows exponentially with n, so it might be difficult to manage. What we can get as solution? We can observe that there can be nodes which are actually same nodes but roots of two. Say those are duplicate nodes, and so the subtree that we are going to get out of those nodes, those are also similar subtrees. So these two nodes Nij and Nik, those are in the same level, as well as we can get some nodes which are in the different levels. So actually you can understand this easily because we have a specific rule. We are actually developing the nodes based on the combination of the RMTs. So there are only finite number of combinations possible. So even if we grow, we just let the tree grow exponentially, there has to be some repetitions of the nodes. There is no other way. So we can get this kind of duplicacy in the tree. So what we can get is out of it is there after, if we just keep on observing, we can get that there is no unique node after some levels, and if we just keep track of the unique nodes, there is no need to develop the whole tree. We can just reduce the or minimize the tree. For example, if we have this, say these two nodes are similar, then what we can do is we can discard this node and create a link from the parent of this node to the unique node. Similarly, if these two nodes are say similar, then we can discard the duplicate node, this node, and create a link from the parent of this node to the unique node. In this way, we can develop the minimized tree which doesn't grow exponentially, contains only the unique nodes, but to keep track of the duplicate node, we need to have some extra links or connections. These links or connection will create some loops. For example, if we take two nodes on the same level, we have to create a link from parent of Nij to Nik, and similarly for two nodes in two different levels, we have to create a link from parent of Ni dash dot k to Ni dot j. So these loops are formed, and what we can get is if a node appears in both levels, say a loop is there. So if there is a loop, that means these nodes in the node that is containing inside the loop, those are getting repeated repeatedly. And if say those nodes are appearing in levels I and I dash, then for each p, if we are considering a level p, then p, if p minus I dash is equivalent to 0 mod of I minus I dash, for any p greater than I, we can say that the node is going to exist at this particular level p also. So just from calculation, we can tell that whether a node is going to exist at a particular level or not. So that means Whenever a node get multiple levels, we can check whether this can belong to the special levels, that is the n minus L levels, and we can check if it can violate reversibility condition at that level before n. Because if it is going to belong to the special level, we know that some RMTs cannot exist there. So the condition for reversibility for those special level is going to change. So if we can check beforehand whether a node can belong to that particular level, we can check beforehand whether it can violate reversibility condition or not. So minimized reachability tree gives us this idea. For example, this is a minimized reachability tree for ECS 75 for any length n. So we can devise an algorithm. The algorithm check reversible takes as input listed CA and number of cells, and it will produce output as reversible, irreversible. What it does, it develops a minimized reachability tree storing only the unique nodes. At time of creation of every new node, it asks whether the node belongs to the special levels and whether it can violate the reversibility conditions. If any node is unbalanced or doesn't follow the reversibility conditions, the CA is reported as irreversible. Otherwise, it is going to be reversible. For example, this is the against ECS 75 with a fixed n 1001. If we just draw the tree, you can see that up to level 5 new nodes are generated. But for each of these new nodes, if we check the loops, the reversibility conditions are not violated. So when no more unique nodes are generated, there is nothing more to check. So we can declare the CA as reversible for N1001. Actually, we'll see that this CA is reversible for every odd n and irreversible for every even n. That also we are going to get from this minimized rule. This is another example in rule 51 that the tree structure will be something like this, and it is again reversible. Now we develop some strategies of finding reversible rules, because the number of reversible rules is very less, and if we just exhaustively start or just keep on checking, there are very less probability of getting this reversible CS. So we devise some greedy strategies where our target is to make the, if we draw the tree, to make the tree at least complete or not, the tree will not violate reversibility condition up to n minus L level, where the only at the spatial level it might not be balanced. So those are our strategies, and we devise 3 strategies. For each of these strategies, we can get a list of rules, and if we concentrate over these rules, there is more chance of getting reversible CA. These are some sample rules. Now, if we observe, you can see that for ECA, even if we take, say, n equals to 1001, the last level where unique node was generated was 5 and m is 21. So there are only 21 unique nodes with the height of the tree as 5. Similarly, for 3-stage CA, you can see that level is 19. Here also, this is 19. And actually, this 1371, this is the maximum number of nodes generated by 3-stage CA for a reachability tree. Now, that is 3-stage 3 neighborhood CA. Now, see another thing, that is, consider this CA. This is a 3-stage 3 neighborhood CA. Now, if the n size 20, it is saying that the CA is reversible. Whereas for the same rule, when n is different, n is 300, it is saying that it is not reversible. So, a CA exists which can be reversible for some n, which cannot be reversible for some different n. That is the same rule, but depending on n, it is behaving differently. Now, from this observation, we can try to devise some relation between the reversibility of CA that is when the CA is reversible for every n, whereas when the CA is reversible for some specific n's. So that is the next part, reversibility and semi-reversibility. So target is to find the relation between reversibility of finite and infinite CA. First question is it possible to understand reversibility of infinite CA by exploring CA for some small n? For example, I was showing you that even if the n was very large, the tree was actually very small. For example, for ECA, the length of the tree or the height of the tree is only 5. So if we observe the minimized tree of length 5, is it possible to give idea of what is going to be its behavior for any n, or what is going to be its behavior when it is defined over infinite lattice? Is it possible? Then what is the relation between the reversibility of case 4 with the other cases, case 1, 2 and 3? Now if we look at this figure we have already seen. If we look at this, you can see that there is one both-way relation between GP and G's injectivity, where GP is periodic configuration, G is infinite configuration. And we have been dealing with periodic boundary condition. And we know that periodic boundary condition is actually equivalent to periodic configuration. So what we can get out of it? First observation is injectivity of GP implies injectivity of G and vice versa. And injectivity of GP, that means injectivity of periodic boundary C of length n for all n. So if we say that for periodic configuration a CA is injective, that means for periodic boundary condition also the CA is going to be injective for each of the n's. Now what we are going to do is we are going to extrapolate the injectivity of GP from injectivity of Gn for all n where n is a natural number. So this relation already exists. We are trying to find the reverse relation. This is the observation that the CA, as I have already told, that the CA is reversible for some lattice sizes, where some CAs are there which are reversible for all lattice sizes. So if Gn is injective for every n, so we need a new class of CA. A new class of reversibility is for finite CA is needed, where the CA can be reversible for some specific n's. This leads us to the notion of semi-reversibility, where the CA can be reversible for some specific set of n's. Now we redefine reversibility. Reversibility is defined with rule R. A CA with rule R is called reversible if Gn is bijective on the set of all configurations of length n for each n. Another class that was irreversible in the classical definition we say here as strictly reversible. A CA is called strictly reversible if Gn is not bijective for each n. And the last class is semi-reversible, where Gn is bijective on the set of all configurations of length n for some n. So the implication is, if a CA with rule R is reversible according to this definition, it is actually reversible over infinite lattice, and if it is strictly reversible, it is actually irreversible over infinite lattice. But how do we identify the semi-reversible CA or the strictly reversible CA? Is there any shortcut way? For that, we go to the primary RMT set. A primary RMT set is nothing but the elementary cycles of the De Bruijn graph representation. So if we look at, say, the ECS, the De Bruijn graph look like this. Here, the elementary cycles are this 0, 7, then 2, 5, then 1, 3, 6, 4, then say 1, 2, 4, and say 5, 3, 6. Those are the elementary cycles. That means there are only 6 primary empty sets corresponding to each of these elementary cycles, and those the for this primary empty set, whatever configuration we can derive, we call them as homogeneous configuration. And as any configuration can be found just by traversing the Diffusion graph, just like appending the cycles of the Diffusion graph, that means any configuration can be formed by the primary empty sets also, or it can be just formed by using the homogeneous configurations. Now, what we can get by the primary empty set? I am giving you some example of the applicability of primary empty set. First is this one is a basic proposition where this P is a primary empty set and X is a configuration that can be derived from the primary empty set. If we have, say, XP, this P means a number of signatures in P, that is X is a homogeneous configuration, and say Y is any configuration where G of X is going to be Y to the power K, that means it is going to repeat. In that case, it is the CA is irreversible for length Y or for length X. Why it is so? If we take X as homogeneous configuration, that means it has only one primary empty set, and Y is not a homogeneous configuration. That means, say, it can be combination of I should not say non-homogeneous configuration. It can be homogeneous configuration as well, but it has more repetition of the same set. So if there are two possible cases, either for Y, if we take the configuration of length Y, then either it was not having any predecessor, that means it was irreversible, the CA was irreversible for length Y, or if it was having a predecessor, that means for Y to the power K also that predecessor exists, so it is going to be irreversible for this length X. So this is a basic proposition. Another proposition we can get out of the length of the primary empty set. If the primary empty sets of, say, it is singleton, and these primary empty sets, the configuration that we can derive from them, they are going to have the same next configuration. Then the CA is irreversible. Similarly, if we have, say, a primary empty set of, say, L number of RMTs, and for all of them the next configuration or the next state value of each of these RMTs are same, so the next configuration will be same. In both the cases, actually, the CA will be reversible. Let me give an example. So, for ECA, if R of 0 and R of 7, where 0 and 7 were singleton primary empty set, if these two are same, that means for all 0 and for all 1, the next configuration is same. That is, the CA is going to be strictly reversible. Similarly, for if R of 2 and R of 5 are same, that means 0 1 to the power n and 1 0 to the power n, these two configurations are having same next configuration, so the CA is going to be reversible whenever n is an even number. Similarly, it can happen for 1 2 4 or 5 3 6 also, and we can get irreversibility of the CA. For example, for this case, ECA 105 and 150, those are irreversible when the length of the CA is divisible by 3. Now we can get the first theorem for strictly reversibility. A CA is strictly reversible if and only if it is irreversible for n equals to 1. Now for n equals to 1, we are actually having two configurations, 0 and 1, that is the two primary empty sets, 0 and 7, the singleton primary empty sets, and they are having the same next configuration. So that will be repeated. So 0 to the power n for any n and 1 to the power n for any n, those are having same next state value. That is, the CA is going to be strictly reversible. It has many to one mapping for any of the value of n. For example, rule 30 you can take, where for all 0 and all 1, the next configuration is going to be all 0 only. You can get this table for ECA, where there are only here I have mentioned only the minimal rules. So these 4 rules are reversible. These are the strictly reversible ECAs, whereas the rest of these are semi-reversible ECA. Now for semi-reversible ECA, you can see that there are some rules which are in bold. I am going to discuss why they are so. There are 2 cases of semi-reversibility. Semi-reversibility means when the CA is reversible for some lattice sizes n. Now this set of lattice sizes, that can be a finite set or that can be an infinite set. Depending on whether it is finite or infinite, we classify them as trivial or non-trivial semi-reversible. So trivial semi-reversible is when the set is finite, and non-trivial semi-reversible is when the set is infinite. For example, this ECA 45, this is reversible when n is odd, that is, it is an infinite set. So it is a non-trivial semi-reversible CA, whereas ECA 29 and 43, those are reversible for only a specific set, specific number of n's, and so this is a trivial case, trivial semi-reversible CA. Now we are going to devise again algorithm to classify the reversible and semi-reversible CA. So strictly reversibility we can directly decide depending on the RMT values, but for reversible and semi-reversible we need to find the algorithm to identify whether it is reversible or it is trivial semi-reversible or it is non-trivial semi-reversible. Another theorem is also there which we can get from the tree actually. So if we have this node, 2 primary RMTs exist where R and S are 2 single tones and RR and RS are same, that means this is the this is just we are cancelling the case for strictly reversibility, but rule R is unbalanced. So the rule R is not identifying a strictly reversible CA, but it is unbalanced. In that case, it is going to be trivial semi-reversible. It is obvious, the proof is obvious, so I am not going to tell you why. So our target is now to distinguish the non-trivial semi-reversible CA from the reversible CA. For reversible CA, we will be getting for all n, but for non-trivial semi-reversible CA, we need to identify the infinite n's for which the CA is reversible. We express this infinite n's with an expression that will represent the lattice sizes. Now again we are going to use the minimized reachability tree. So if R of xxn and yyyy, this is I am showing for 3 neighborhood condition. If there is, sorry, so if these are same, that means it is strictly reversible. Otherwise, we will try to identify whether it is trivial semi-reversible. If unbalanced, that means it is going to be trivially semi-reversible. If minimized tree has unbalanced node at some level I, that means it is going to be trivially semi-reversible. If there is a node with self loop and suppose it get unbalanced for any level n minus m, in that case that node will get repeated in every level, and for every level it is going to be irreversible. So after this L, for all other n's it is going to be reversible, so it is again trivially semi-reversible. Now there are some loops in the minimized tree which helps us to decide whether it is reversible for a particular n. That we can check now to see whether for the nodes inside the loop it is going to violate the reversibility condition. If there is no such node, we can claim that the CA is reversible for all n, whereas if there is reversibility for some n, in that case the loop will give us an expression which will say for which n we are going to get irreversibility. For example, if we remember the previous discussion where we are going to talk, where we are talking about the loop and the expression, how to check whether a node can be existing at a particular level or not. From the same expression, we can check whether a node can be present. So if we are checking for n minus L, then from this expression itself, we can get an idea whether it is going to be reversible or not. So if a CA violates reversibility condition, the expression will be something like this. So n will be k into I dash minus I plus L, where the node has got repeated in I and I dash, and L is the spatial level. So this expression will give us the CA sizes for which it is irreversible. So if we just take the set minus from the set of naturals, will give the sizes for which this CA is reversible. For example, if you take this CA, it is a reversible CA, because for every loop, for none of the loop, the reversibility condition is violated, so we are not getting any expression of irreversibility, so it is reversible. Whereas if we take again the PCA 75, here it is non-trivially semi-reversible with the expression n equals to 2k plus 1 and where k belongs to n. So this is some example of classification using minimized tree. You can see that height of the tree is actually very small, just like I have shown. Here NA means we don't have to build the tree. We can directly find whether it is reversible or not from the RMTs. And strictly reversible means expression will be obviously something like this. And if it is non-trivially semi-reversible, we are going to get expression something like this. So this is some example. These are some examples of classifying our CAs using the minimized tree. So we can get some new relation from now. Our height of the minimized tree is n0. That means the sufficient length to decide reversibility class of CA is n0 plus m plus 1. This m plus 1 is the spatial levels for m neighborhood CA. Now let us define another set, GR star. This GR star contains the set of global transition function for rule R, when n is the set of n belongs to the set of naturals. So GR star is, we call the GR star as reversible if each of these GNs are reversible. It is strictly reversible if each of the GN is irreversible, and semi-reversible if it is reversible for some n. So GR star is reversible or strictly reversible or semi-reversible. Depending on this reversibility or strictly reversibility, it is going to map to the GP. So if GR star is reversible, it means GN is reversible for every n. So that means GP is injective. So G is also injective. Whereas GR star strictly reversible means GP is not injective. So G will not be injective. Now we can take the sets, say SI is where G is bijective or say injective. This G is defined over infinite configuration. GP we take, for GP we take the set SP, for GF we take SF, and GR we take GN bijective for some n. So this SP, SI and SF, these three sets are equivalent, whereas these sets are going to be a proper subset of SR, where there will be some CAs which are reversible for some n but not for all n. So this is the updated relation where we include GR star, and if GR star is reversible, we can get this by both way relation with GP injectivity and G injectivity. Now there are some open problems with this. For example, first open problem will be finding the tight upper bound of the necessary and sufficient lattice size for the minimized tree. I told this is n0, but what is the value of n0? That is still now it is an open problem. What is the minimum lattice size of a finite CA to identify reversibility behavior defined over infinite lattice? So this is n0 is for the tree. Now whether this same n0 will work for the CA also, or we can get some smaller n0 smaller value of n also, that we don't know. Optimal algorithm to find the inverse CA. G inverse, we know that G inverse exists, but what is that CA? We still don't have any optimal algorithm for that. And is there any relation between null boundary CA with infinite CA? For example, finite configuration, where the apart from a finite amount of values, the rest of the cells are fixed with some specific Poisson state. Is there any relation? That is still an open problem. Now I'll talk about some remarks and observation. So first is, if we take strategy 1, 2, and 3, those CAs are always surjective. If we define it over infinite lattice and test with any of the classical algorithms like Amour-Supért's algorithm or Sapna's algorithm, but they are not always injective. So that's why we can get semi-reversible CAs from there, and also irreversible or strictly reversible CAs also from there. Another observation is, actually from a set of fixed lattice sizes we can derive the reversibility behavior. For example, if we take ECA, if ECA is reversible for all n 1, 2, 3, and 4, it is actually reversible for every n. And similarly, if it is irreversible for say it is irreversible for some n 2, 3, or 4, some n between this 2, 3, and 4, then it is going to be semi-reversible. And the height of the reachability tree is 5 only. So this is corresponding to the value of n0, and this is corresponding to the minimum lattice size. Similarly, 4 neighborhood two-state CA, n, if we check for all n from 1 to 8, we can actually find what is going to be the behavior of the CA for any lattice sizes, or what is the class of the reversibility for that CA. And the reachability tree is also having maximum height as 9. Similarly, for 3 neighborhood 3-state CA, n, we have to check for 1 to 9, and we can find the class of the CA, whereas reachability tree is having maximum height as 19 only for any lattice sizes. So this gives us idea about what should be, or what is probably the minimum lattice sizes or sufficient lattice size for finding the class of or finding the behavior of infinite CA from the finite CA. And our conjecture is probably, probably I should say conjecture, although because we have not yet proved it. So that is d to the power m minus 1, but still it is not proved. So that's all from my side. Thank you for listening. I hope all of you are still there.
Thank you, Komalika, for your wonderful talk. Now this is the question answer session, so I expect the questions from the participants. Any question?
I have a question. Hi, Komalika Di.
Yes, I have some questions, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, Shruti, please.
Hello, Komalika.
Hello. Okay. Komalika Di, do you think?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Do you think chaos can be defined in finite lattice?
No, I have not told that. I don't think so.
No, I'm just asking.
Maybe some similar kind of similar kind of notion might be there, but that will not be chaos, obviously.
Because I have just asked because reversibility can be, the reversibility problem has been explored for all n that belongs to some natural numbers. So, uh, what do you think this might be?
Might be some similar notion might be there where we are getting similar kind of behavior, but that we can't say it is chaos, because by definition chaos cannot be defined over finite lattice.
Yes, yes, yes. This is where. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Next,
Yeah.
Sujata
Professor
and to decrease levels.
Pavitra Chaudhary sir.
Yes. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. So I congratulate Kamalika for this nice talk, and this particularly this area of reversibility has drawn attention. It's very attractive area because of various applications. And I have certain comments about this. Your theory of RMT and reachability tree, whether applicable to 2D, suppose 2D configuration, rectangular configuration, m rows and n columns. As you have rightly said, that depending on n, the transformation matrix is full rank or not full rank. Full rank means it will give an inversible matrix. Inverse, there must exist some inverse. Okay. So for 2D, for two-dimensional, for rectangular m rows and n columns, you must be able to apply your RMT and reachability tree. Probably the length will be much higher. Instead of 8, it is for nearest neighbors, it is 512. So I would request you to look for this, your application of theory in two-dimensional. And another idea, I was just wondering, for any reversible CA, so we have got one transformation matrix which is having a full rank, okay. Full rank means dimension of kernel is 0. So if you start from any matrix where dimension of kernel is non-zero, and gradually you can traverse to the full rank, then probably your theory, all you have received, there must be some connection with the matrix theory, what I should say. So you may apply these things because full rank and dimension of kernel non-zero, these things you have to keep in your mind, and you have to traverse that way. Okay, thank you for your nice talk.
Thank you, sir. We have not yet worked on 2D CA, but although this reachability tree is defined over 1D CA only, but maybe if we somehow transform the 2D configuration into some say RMT representation, then maybe we can use that. So
we did some work. We did some work on the two-dimensional things. We have some papers. Okay.
Okay. Thank
and
you.
also the matrix theory. What just now I have told.
Yeah.
Please look at this, and if you can relate with some matrix theory about your theory of reachability tree, RMT and reachability tree, that would be a grand observation. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you.
next.
Yeah, Professor General.
General.
Professor General.
Okay, thank you, Malika. Very interesting presentation. Congratulations. And the subjects are always very interesting. So I have some questions for you. You comment that rule 30 is balanced, right?
Rule 30 is?
Yes, Rule 30. Elementary cellular
Rule
automata
30 is what's it?
is balanced.
Rule
Yes.
30 is balanced.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Is this property useful to recover a part of its history to reports of advance in the Wolfram's conjecture?
Which one said that Rule 30 prices you are talking about?
Yes, if this property is useful to recover a lot of this information to calculate this history.
I don't think so. Rule 30 is much more stronger than that. This property, this balancedness only will give you this idea that it will be surjective. So in infinite case, every configuration is actually reachable. So, but I don't think from only this information we can get an idea about what is going to be history, because there will be, if it was probably if it was not balanced, then we had lesser options. But as it is balanced, so we have a equal probability of getting 0 and 1 in that case. So I don't think it is going to give us any positive direction in finding those history. Just like in Rule 30 prices, Wolfram, what he was trying to do is give an idea, and without computing order of n times, give an idea of what is going to be history or what is going to be the next value of the middle cell. But I don't think it will be leading to us to that. Maybe some other way will be there.
Okay, so in this direction with this balanced property, do you have a way to connect regular expressions with this balanced?
Regular expressions. That
Yes.
I have not worked on that, so I don't have much idea on how regular expression can be connected with that. I don't have much idea.
Because in thinking in this direction, regular expressions conduce to infinite configurations that could be useful for you in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the next one is, are you applying this reachability tree in 2 dimensions?
No, not. We have not worked on 2D yet. But my idea is like if we can somehow represent this 2D configuration in terms of RMT sequence, then we can apply reachability tree also. Probably Shukanta sir might differ with me in this case. I don't know, maybe he can give us more idea on this. But if somehow we can fix that, we'll always consider, clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. How the configuration, instead of this table, if we make it somehow linear, then obviously we can represent in terms of RMTs and then we can apply tree. But in that case, we have to fix in which way we are going to read. That is my idea.
Of course, the calculus is more complicated.
Yeah.
The number of combinations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question.
And there will be more possibilities of this equivalent sets, and so here in this case we are only considering only one equivalent set, that is the last neighbor. But if we consider the 2D, then there is neighbors from more than one direction. So in that case, there will be more equivalent sets, also more possibilities will be there. Yeah. Next. Sir.
Indeed, I was thinking when you show these reachability trees, it's possible to look symmetries in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this symmetry property could be useful to reduce the complexity in this algorithm. And
Actually, we are doing that only. In minimized tree, we are looking for the symmetries, and if there is symmetry, we are not going for those similar nodes. We have actually done that only in minimized tree.
Yeah.
So
Because
yeah, you
this
are
one
correct.
will reduce the computation.
Yeah, this will reduce the computation very much. So that's why even if this n is very large, we are going to get a small length tree, because number of combinations possible for these RMTs are only fixed number.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Kamalika. The next question is, what happened with universal reversible server automata from reversible conditions?
Universal reversible server automata from?
Yes, universal reversible server automata from reversible conditions. It is the idea is that you can take one or two reversible functions and compose them to produce a universal reversible server automaton.
Yeah. Okay. But you are asking what will happen if it is
for example,
the universal.
For example, you can take two different reversible functions that maybe they are not universals, but the compositions could produce universal server automata.
So universal reversible. I have never explored this, so this is a new idea. That means you are thinking of a universal CA that is that can simulate the behavior of any reversible CA. That you are saying at universal reversible CA, right? Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And you are.
It is very.
And if the CA, if universal reversible CA, that CA itself can be reversible also. That is what you are saying, probably.
Because regularly, this universal server automata are constructed from other minimal functions. So in this case, we can think most about of intrinsic reversible automata. Okay. I have curiosity. What is the language programming did you implement this algorithm?
Language
programming.
Language programming.
Yeah,
means the language
to implement this algorithm.
The language we have used, that you are asking. That is Java only.
Okay, and what kind of computer you use?
What kind of?
Computer.
My machine was i5 with 6 GB memory.
Okay. I think you have using computer from the university.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah, at that time I was using department computer only that was having Wi-Fi with 6 GB memory, and we were coding these things using Java.
Okay.
Yeah. One more point. Even with less configuration, it's possible.
Yeah, it is.
Computationally, it is very simple. I mean, at least
yeah, it is very simple. Within seconds, it will.
Structure-wise, it may seem difficult, but computationally, it's very simple. I mean.
Okay. I think you has using some supercomputer in.
Simple computer only.
That could be maybe useful in the future. Okay. The last questions, dear Kamelika. Could you give an example of reversibility in network?
Reversibility in network?
Yeah.
Reversibility in network. You are talking about internet? Yes. I don't have much idea on that.
No?
Sir, can you give me an idea of reversible network?
No.
Professor General, you tell us. Probably something is on your mind. That's why you are asking.
Because, for example, in the universe, what example could be?
Universe, you are thinking as network.
Yes.
Okay.
Gases?
Wait.
Gases could be?
Yeah.
Dark matter?
Yeah. Okay.
No, but do you have any any example of computational model? Which is network? The network model, which is reversible.
Yes, exactly.
No, do you have any example of that kind of network, reversible network?
The water cycle. Water cycle.
Any parallel cycle is reversible. That is no, but sir is asking for computational any computational network, computational model.
Okay, when you find an example.
Okay,
please.
No. I will
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you too.
Okay, any more questions?
No, I don't have any question, but I have some issues. Okay, like if it is in one-dimensional, you know that there is very limited scope that the CA structure can be represented by a linear operator like T matrix. Okay, in some researchers have referred as a characteristic matrix T. So it is basically, all the ECA rules you cannot represent in T. So there are limited scope we have. So I think, do you have any plan that you will be able to represent if dimension is 2, then you can have a T for a limited CA rules. Is it possible?
T, you are saying?
T means matrix. That through this matrix you will be able to represent that what will be the interconnection between different cells of a CA.
Yeah.
So is it possible that if it is in 2D, they will be able to represent in T?
PPC sir was probably telling that they have done some work with this matrix representation on 2D, but I have never worked on that, so I don't have much idea on that, sir.
I think it will be very difficult. I don't know how it will be can be represented, because anyway, so in 2D, have you seen that some rules that will be belong to the class of linear, basically the linear rules, so that can be represented in linear operator by T.
Yeah.
So this in the matrix is a linear operator. So have you checked it, or do you have any idea that other than what you have reachability and other tools, so T can be helpful for characterizing the CA when dimension is greater than 1?
So T is matrix. So matrix means it is for linear operation only, right?
Good. So that is true.
Yeah. So this for non-linear operation, then this T will not.
In D greater than 1, dimension greater than 1.
Yeah.
So can you identify any linear rule?
Yeah. Identifying linear rule is not that difficult.
So my suggestion is try to represent
Yes.
this linear rule in T. So
Okay.
any rule can be represented as T linear rule.
Okay.
So if we can try it, so we can have a subset of rules in 2D, at least in 2D, subset of rules in 2D. So that is represented in T. So we can have a better
characterization using matrix algebra.
Okay. So I think it will be very difficult. I'm not sure whether it is possible or not.
Okay. Okay.
So my direction is, if you have,
yes, it is possible.
Any network that
for 2D,
if you consider
for
network,
2D linear
so then
transformation
is not limited.
We have
so D cannot be more than. Oh, okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Network problem.
Can you please speak?
Hello.
Please proceed. Please proceed. Professor Pal Chaudhary, so please proceed.
Oh, acha, okay. What I'm trying to say is, if the dimension is more than 1, we can construct a linear operator. Linear operator means one matrix by which we can transform the configuration, 2D configuration, m rows and n columns, and successively we can get separate various transformations that we have seen already. So that what suggesting to Kamalika, so such matrix in two-dimensional things, all her theories of RMT and reachability tree will be applicable. That's my suggestion.
Actually, I have not gone through details of that, but reachability is very much applicable for that. But
yes,
T in its present form, so I'm not sure that it will be very much effective in that sense. So I know the conclusion what I'm trying to draw is, so far as network is concerned, so network is not bounded by the dimension. If it is D equal to 1, then any network can be any network. So that will be linear in nature. So it can be represented by T. If it is in non-linear in nature, it will be represented by reachability tree and other like ERVG, and so there are other graph representations. But if it is like if you consider that T will be more than 1, so I am not sure that we have any such tool available that is basically related to linear operator, that is basically very close to linear operator T. So it is very difficult to represent.
Yeah. So far, there is no such characterization tool for 2D.
Hello,
we can try. If you have a tree, you take any 2D and try 2D cellular automata or any network. Forget about cellular automata. Then try to represent in this one in T. Because if it is a more than 1D, then very what is called dependency or association between two nodes, it will be very difficult to represent in T.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a small comment. What Professor Pal Chaudhary was saying, that we could, we should explore, relationship. However, when you develop this theory, we have tested only one decades. See, Kamalika also saying that diffusion graph was there, and from the diffusion graph, we can extract this tree. And diffusion graph for only one-dimensional CA. So these things are there actually. But what was the Parikeshwar was saying is very interesting, that maybe some classes of CAs you can find where you can apply this logic. Anyway, we have not explored. Yeah, Suparna, you proceed and conclude.
Any more questions?
I have another question. Kamalika Di, hi.
Hi.
So my question is there any example of semi-reversibility in nature? My first question is that, and that question leads me to another things, that when you are talking about semi-reversibility, it means that the part of the system is reversible, and what about the other part of the system? And this duality of this particular rule or this system, what it tries to tell us about our natural world or physical world. Is there any leads about that question? So that's my question.
I will say that semi-reversibility is more natural, because depending on the situation, it is behaving differently. It is not constant. That's like how we behave normally. Depending on situation, our response changes. So it is like that. It is modeling. It is behaving reversible when situation is favorable to it. It is not reversible when the situation is not like that. So it is more natural in that sense. I will say like that. And maybe you can find several examples of the situations when it is reversible. If the system is in favorable condition, then the reversibility is maintained. But if some part of the system is broken, or maybe so the system is not maintaining its favorable condition, then it is behaving differently. It is not reversible. So it is not that some part of the system is reversible. That is, the system is reversible for some condition, whereas if condition changes, it is not behaving in this way. So that is probably what you are asking. Am I able to answer your question?
Yes, yes, fine. So is there any connection of so according to your answer, is there any connection of development of technology like fault tolerance system or that like of system from this kind of theoretical development? Is there any scope of
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. I believe that semi-reversible CA will be more effective in that case. So semi-reversible CAs are also chaotic. So although it is not a proved theory, but from observation we know that this is going to be chaotic CA. So these systems have more applicability, although we have not explored it, but it can find applications in different areas. Just like in fault tolerance also, it might be applicable.
Okay, thank you.
That's good.
Okay, any more questions? Kamalika, just one question from my side. Actually, I found one thing in case of reversibility. You are from your contents. What I get for a given rule. Suppose what I try to say. If a CA size is given, say CA size is fixed. Can we find all possible CAs which are reversible for a given CA size?
That you can find, but that will be exhaustively checking for that particular end. So it will be, you have to give exhaustively all possible rules, and then for that rule you have to check individually whether the CA is reversible or not. So it is more easy if it is if you are fixing the rule and changing the lattice size, that is in the tuple of S, N, S, M, R and L. So it's only L you are changing and all the other three elements are same. In that case, it is more easy to find. But you are saying that you are fixing the L and R you are changing. So it will be more difficult in that sense.
Okay. Another point is that you are considering the classical CAs. Can you give some insight on non-classical CAs like non-uniform CAs?
Classical, non-classical CA. So our CA, although it is uniform, that CA I have told about, that is also non-classical CA only, because classically they say it is infinite lattice, and then that is where L only is changing. So if you change, say Instead of only L, you are changing, say, R also, or say M also. So every change in the classical definition is going to end in a non-classical CA.
Thank you. So any more question?
Okay. You conclude. Conclude.
Okay. Thank you, Kamalika.